too, dude.
Like,
well, what's crazy to me about
mind-blowing.
Hitchcock is he has that movie called, I think it's Rope,
Yeah.
and it's a one take. And I'm like, how the hell did he do that? How did he do, like, because film rolls are like 10 minutes, 20 minutes a roll because it runs out. You know, it's only like 400 feet or something like that, 400 meters, something. It's just in a canister.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how?
Yeah.
Like, and those are the true masters of the craft, of art, of cinema, of photography, because they didn't have anybody to look to. That was like all the dawn of that age of cinema and all that. And I'm just like, these people must have been on a different level of like being a human. I'm like, I respect them.
Well, the biggest thing I think is like that creative energy that you've got that is inspired by those guys. You know what I mean? Yeah. And for you, instead of capturing like an entire movie in one role, it's capturing a moment in one picture. And like the medium, that I think there's so much that goes into that medium that makes people want to be film photographers rather than digital photographers. But that's one way that like you're able to kind of separate yourself from the masses, which is a good thing in the photography industry, because you want to have, and I mean pretty much all creative industries too, is you want to have that thing that really is recognizable for being the style that you work in or the medium that you work in. So, you know, we all really respect you, and you're creative. Like, you know, us both are more so business guys, but there is a place where, especially with young professionals, that there's so much overlap. And, you know, that's the reason that we want to do this, is kind of like spotlighting the, you know, these entrepreneurs and the professionals that are doing these things, the creatives, and bringing all of these things together. Just we're all polymaths, you know, we're all Renaissance men. And so we're excited to have you on for sure.
Thank you. I was going to compliment you guys because I'm like, man, you guys are doing a lot. Like, you guys are running businesses, you're doing a podcast, you're having all these like networking opportunities. And I'm like, that's impressive.
Thank you, man.
And we're like around the same age too. And I'm like, that is awesome. Yeah. Because like most of the time you always have to look at like the older people and you're like, oh yeah, they're doing cool things. I can learn from them, which is true. Yeah. But it's always inspiring when you see like people around your age doing something that's cool and like unique and new. Yeah, you know?
Exactly.
It's cool.
I appreciate the compliment. Big time.
You're welcome.
Big time. And welcome to the space. We're excited to have you here.
It's beautiful. I was like, this is a real space. I like that.
I know. That's gorgeous. That's sick. Y'all can't see it, but it's sick.
We've got tons of art here, and just to kind of like, you know, give you guys a frame of perspective, I know we mentioned it in the intro video, but we're in Scott McLean's office. He is based right here in downtown Huntsville. And, you know, Devin, one of the reasons that we really picked this place is we were looking for places that really have the energy that we're trying to look for and adds to these conversations rather than kind of distracts. And I think that this is going to be the place for season 2.
It's gorgeous, man.
Like, thank you.
You know, because I'm such a visual guy. So like when I see really cool, like vintage or unique looking places, I'm like, this is incredible. And like, look at all the old photos and like newspapers. Like that is like,
oh yeah,
we'll
do a walk around after.
Yeah, you should. Definitely. You should just show, be like, look at that, look at that. And all the like the whiskey and stuff. I love that, man.
Oh
it's beautiful.
It's got a cool office.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this place is great.
It's inspiring.
Yeah. So you ready for the intro?
Yeah.
Cool. What's up, guys? Welcome to season 2 of What's Next Huntsville. Today we've got an exciting guest, Devin Holladay. And so those guys. But Devin, just to give kind of a frame of perspective, he is a young professional photographer, mostly working in the film medium. But you've got a resume that's, you know, we could do an entire podcast on, especially with HAG and all the different angles you went at with that.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That's awesome.
Yeah. That was actually, I think, unless y'all met in high school, that might have been the first time that y'all
I think
met.
It was the HAG thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so, dude, watching myself like in a short, I was like,
Yeah, so you're
Like I
actor,
can't do it. Like
photographer.
if I'm helping on a project, if I'm like behind the camera, like being a photographer or directing or producing, it's like I'm so much better off. Like I cannot stand seeing myself. Like I'm just like
just cringe.
like I'm just like I feel so terrible. I'm like what like, and I don't know if it's like an ego thing or what it is, but like, and it might be a fault of mine because I need to kind of love myself more, if that makes sense. But
I think that's kind of an energy with a lot of creatives. Like even us, we look back on those first few episodes of the podcast and we're like, holy
dude, that's
moly.
what I was gonna like. That's what I was gonna ask you guys. Like when you did your first one, like what is that like? Because you've never done that before, so you don't have any like experience or grounding for it.
Just having fun, man. Like going out there, being like, we want to have a cool conversation with somebody, and we're just gonna film it.
Yeah,
you know, our audio was terrible, video was terrible. It was just my mom's
You learned
basement.
though. It's cool. It's respectable in a way, though.
It was
I appreciate
fun
that.
You know, you're doing something new.
Exactly. And we're all about doing new things, and we definitely want to hear what you have in that regard on what you're doing.
I mean, I think let's jump back to kind of like the base of it. You mentioned earlier that Sutherland's was part of that initial inspiration for getting into photography. But could you dig into that, like that experience?
Well, I mean, I was working at a coffee shop when I was 19, and I loved it. It was Old Town Coffee. It was one of my favorite shops ever.
Where's that at?
5 Points.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not working there because a lot of stuff happened, you know, and I don't know if we should get into it. But they fired somebody, and I was like, that's not cool, you know, and like unjustifiably fired them. And so I was like, let's go work at my uncle's restaurant. But anyway, I'm going to get back to the Sutherlands.
Yeah.
So I was 19. I bought a Fuji X100S, I think, or F, one of those. And it's like a small point and shoot rangefinder digital. It's really for like street photography and stuff. And so I bought that, and I was having fun with it, and I used it for a couple months. And then I can't remember what inspired me. Maybe I saw it on like a YouTube video or whatever. Yeah. But I was like, I'm going to go into Sutherland's because I was like, I've never been in that shop. It looks awesome. So I go in there and I look, they have like a window display, like a glass window display. And I saw a Pentax K1000 and it was like $150. And I was like, dude, I'm going to buy that. I'm going to buy it. Like, I can afford that. That's not expensive. And if I don't like it, you know, it's a cool thing to have on my shelf. So I bought it and I shot a roll of film through it. And I was like, I can't go back. This is too beautiful.
Really?
Like it was, and plus I love supporting Sutherland's. It's not just like, I love film, of course, and I always want to shoot film, but Sutherland's as like a business and a store and a local place that's been around since 1963. Wow. That's
same owners too.
Yeah, that is inspiring. It's like I want to give all my money to them. Like you guys could take all the. So that's why I don't feel bad when I go and get film developed nearly every day, and I'm in there and buying new cameras almost every other week, and like because it's like I love that place. It's my favorite place, and I don't know, like film just it and they all say, like a lot of film photographers, it's like, oh, it's the vibe, right? You know, it's the vibe of film that I love, but it's also the process for me. Like the process of film is just so amazing. Like having a roll of film, you only have 36 shots or 24 shots. You put it in your camera and you get to shoot it. And you're limited to that amount of shots. So it's not like digital.
Shot. You know, you got to line it up. And I want to go into your process a little more of, so let's say you're on the street, you're just out on a nice day. What is that process of getting, you know, some shots?
This is big. Not really. And that's the beauty of it. It's like, I just try to be open. And like whatever inspires me, like and I think, moment. Like
you don't go out being like, I'm gonna get a shot of this today. It's just kind of like whatever happens.
And sometimes it's a mixture though, and I think a big thing about art and in life is balance, you know. So you always need balance. So I don't want to be like I only do this, because I love stylized photos. I love to compose a frame and like take a photo of something that I really want to get, and maybe I see a cool scene, people walking by, or people are in a group or whatever, or I like the way this looks with this. But more often than not, it is just like I take my camera, I go out, and it's like, oh, that's awesome. That's cool. That's beautiful. Let me see how that would look. And sometimes, because I shoot film and I'm so limited, I don't even take photos. Like sometimes part of the fun is just having my camera and waiting to be inspired. And that could come at any moment. You know, just like any other medium you do or business. It's like sometimes you need that space, you know, sometimes overworking and being like, oh, I got to get something, I got to get that can actually be worse for you. So it's like, I try to always just be like, I'm going to be an open vessel, and whatever can inspire me, whatever I get curious by or fascinated by, or I'm like, oh, that looks interesting, you know, let me shoot that.
Yeah. And your style, I mean, the medium that you shoot on is one aspect of the style. And then just as you said, that street photography kind of like, I don't know what the right word is, style, really. I mean, that model, I guess, of street photography is so much of like, this was completely unplanned. And I think that's one of the things that makes it so exciting. Like, is that the same thing for you? Like,
that's what's so magical about it. And like, there's a whole community. If you go on YouTube, there's a whole community of like street photographers. And there's this really cool photographer named Polly B. And he does these things called walkie-talkies, where he goes out with street photographers like in New York City, and they just walk down the streets. And they're, a lot of times they are doing photos and then also getting interviewed simultaneously. And he just talks about their process and their creative endeavors. And it's so cool, man. It's so inspiring. And like, it's just magic, you know, like when a scene aligns, or you see something interesting, or you see a strange looking situation, and you're like, oh, I got a camera, you know. And that's the beauty of a camera. It's like you're documenting. It's literally a tool to document and to put information through it and tell stories or inspire or whatever. And it's like, I love that. It's my way of connecting with the world.
So I have a question. When you're like in the photography world, very often you're building up books, kind of like the things that we see on the coffee table. Not necessarily like the magazines, but more like catalogs of your work. What are some ways that, or some, I guess, decision processes that you go through to choose this is one that I want to like have in that catalog, having that backdrop when somebody wants to look at my work, or even going up on Instagram, because that's kind of like your catalog.
No,
now.
it is.
Is it just like a photo speak to you? Like,
I guess so. Yeah, it's. I'll mention another photographer. There's a really, really good, he's probably my favorite dude on Instagram. His name is Eden by Flowers. It's like a pseudonym. His name is Jeremy Page, but he goes by Eden by Flowers, and he's in Hollywood. He just walks around like the Hollywood stars and that whole neighborhood. And it's just downtown LA. And he just takes photos. And like, what's so cool is he takes photos in a lot of the tourist areas. So he captures these insane, like surreal moments that like a lot of tourists never see. But then you see his photos and you're like, this stuff is happening there. And the reason I mention him is because he's very selective about his photos, and he may post 1 to maybe like 5 to 10 times a year. Like he does not post like every week or because he just works for months, and he's like working every day, but he just holds on to his photos and holds on to his photos. And then he maybe posts like 10 out of like a 4 or 5 month gap. And then you're just waiting on the next ones. And I'm like, that is beautiful. But I don't really know how I select photos. Like that's
Just the
It's a
artist
weird,
in you.
and that's also why I want to build kind of a network and a connection with other photographers. And I would love, like you mentioned to me, a gallery. That would be, I can't even fathom that. But like if I could have somebody
we'll
sit
get that
down with
happening.
me
Yeah.
and like look at my photos and be like, this one could
Yeah.
work or this one, because as much as I can do that, it's cool to get another perspective.
Right.
Because
Absolutely.
you as the artist, if you make something, or an entrepreneur, if you make something, it's like, that's like your baby. You don't want to be like, oh, I like this photo way more than this. It's like, dude, I like all these photos. And then it's like, which one do I have to choose over this one? But
Right.
you know, it happens, and it's part of the process. But that's what's so beautiful about film is you get to shoot, and then you get to look at your negatives, and you get to look at the photos you got. And you just have to, sometimes the most beautiful thing about selecting photos is you just wait. And you wait and you sleep on it, and you're like, let me come back to that. Okay, that photo looks cool. Oh, wait, give it time. Okay, yeah, that one. And I don't know. It's weird though. It's a weird process.
Yeah. So that idea, does your mind work in like a photographer's kind of like process? I would imagine it does.
It
Like
does all the time. Like that's a weird thing about me having cameras on me. Like I have 2 to 3 on me, like nearly every time I go out. And it's not even like to show off. And that's like what I feel so bad about. It's like I don't want people being like, oh, look at that guy.
No, it's who
and
you are.
I use these like old cameras, and so they're like, does that thing even work? And I'm like, dude, it's what I did. Like I don't know how to live differently. Like this is what I love doing. This is my way of like being what I am to the world, you know? And it's like being able to use this tool to document and to tell stories. It's like, that's what I know. And that's what I like have immersed myself in.
Yeah.
And if I can't do that, I literally, like, I don't know. And if you want to get into another cool artist, writer, poet is Charles Bukowski, which a lot of people know, but on his gravestone or whatever, tombstone, whatever you call those things, he has "don't try." And a lot of people take that at face value, and you're like, what is he talking about? But when you think about it, the metaphor of it is like, you're not going to try to be an artist.
Right.
You just are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't try to have my camera. It's like, it's just like a figment of myself.
Yeah.
You know, if you're writing stories, you don't try to write story. You're just going to write. Like it's destined to happen because he didn't get like successful till like his 50s, I don't think, because he kept getting rejected. And like, I think that's so inspiring. He just never gave up because it was what he was.
Right.
And I think that's so, so cool.
I think that's a really good segue into something I want to talk to you about is it is like the artist struggle. Everybody knows about the artist struggle about, you know, like people are like, oh, don't go to college for this or that because, you know, it's hard to make it in photography and art and all these different mediums. What, you know, kind of focusing on maybe a business side of what you're doing, what do you see like, or how do you see this progressing? Do you want to make money from it? Like, are you just doing it for fun? Like, do you have any like goals or dreams?
Like specific things?
Yeah.
Well, I can't even tell you how amazing, dude. If I could be a photographer full time, I would. That's the dream. That is like the thing. If I could literally wake up every day and like plan my day around, oh, I got to do this shoot at this time, or I have this project next month where I have to fly here or fly there, travel here, and be like, that is the biggest dream. Like I think that's the coolest stuff. But there's that weird line of like commercializing your art or being a true artist and letting the art be what it is. And I never want to like kind of like overshadow my commercial line with my art side. So if I could find, going back to what I said earlier about balance, you know, if I could maybe mesh those worlds together, that's the dream, the coolest thing.
We want to get you in front of as many people as possible so that this process can come along. And what you mentioned earlier about galleries, has there been any places that you've gone to or brought your artwork to that it was showcased there, or you had an opportunity to sell it or anything like that?
I've been thinking about doing like a book. Like I would love to maybe do like a zine. Like a zine is like a smaller thing. It's not a full size book, but just like a smaller thing of my work. And I would love to put that at Sutherland's.
That would be awesome.
And I have such a good relationship with them now, and they all know me, and they're like, "Oh, it's Devin. Here's Devin again." No, I'm joking. I give them so much money, so they love. But they're just so cool, and I would love, since I get all my film developed there. I would love to put like a book or a zine there and just be like, this is not only my love letter to Sutherland's, but like my love letter to this craft and this medium. And I would just love to have something there. And of course, you know, the museum, Huntsville Art Museum, if I could do a gallery, because that museum is nice. Like every time I've been in there, I was like, this does not seem like a Hunts, because Huntsville isn't really known as for their art. Huntsville is like a engineering, a business, you know. And so to walk into an art museum like that, I'm like, that is awesome.
Speaking of the art museum, there was an event that I went to just the other day. It was called 5 After 5, and
it's a shame I missed that.
Yeah, I wish you could have come.
I wanted to go to that.
Yeah, well, if I knew you were interested, I would have invited you, but next time for sure. But I had a vision of, imagine we were to get a gallery, we host an event, and we invite artists to come and put up their paintings, have an opportunity to sell it, hang around and chat to people who come up and want to ask questions and talk to the artists, because it's such a, you know, unique opportunity and experience. And I think it would be really a great way to, I guess, put a tangible aspect on that network and that connectivity that you were talking about earlier. So we'll be in contact about that for
that
sure.
Would be because I mean, you mentioned that to me about doing like a local artist gallery thing, and I was like, dude, that idea is awesome.
So you guys stay tuned for this. Stay tuned for this for sure.
That was sick.
And I do want to finish up here by saying, you know, is there any last like things that you want to get off your chest? Anything that you want to talk
plug your Instagram
about? We'll plug you below. But man, it's like,
it's Devin P. Holladay.
Devin P. Holladay. But I had it Houdini Shoots, which I think is a funny story. Is my brother he wanted to do like an Xbox Call of Duty like clan or whatever, you know, and so he made it all Houdini, and so I was like, he made me Houdini Shoots. And then he made him something, and my other friend who has his Instagram is still Houdini Legend or whatever it is. And I'm like, that's funny to me, but I think it's cool because like film, you know, Houdini was a magician, and it's like when you take a photo on film, you never know what you're going to get. And so it's kind of like a magic show in a way.
Well, keep doing your magic, man. And it's going to take you to heights you can't even perspect right now.
Well, I'm excited, man. I'm just trying to take it one day at a time and see where it ends.
Well, we really appreciate having you on, and look forward. Oh yeah, we can make this last another
dude. Well,
hour.
I was like, before I came on here, I was like, dude, am I going to be uncomfortable? But like when we got into, I was like, dude, I could riff all day with this, man. Like I love podcasts. Like this is awesome. But
well, hopefully we can have you on again.
I would love to
see your follow up and your progression.
Maybe I might get into. I want to get into medium format. Like it's like the next level. It's like taking 35 millimeter like regular movies. Like that's like what I shoot on, but it's like taking that to IMAX. It's like a different level of quality. And 120, the negatives are like bigger. And so when you take a photo, because I love photos and looking at film and stuff, like I would probably cry if I took a film photo, like a portrait, and I saw it. I was like, oh, it looks so good. It looks so good.
Well, soon other people are going to be crying about your art. So let's get excited for that.
Thank you,
for sure. And like we said, we're going to plug all of your info down below. So you guys make sure to check them out and look for upcoming things from Devin and more episodes from us. Welcome to season 2 of Huntsville.
Thank you, man. This was an honor. This was beautiful.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys for having me.
No problem. Thank you for coming on. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
See y'all.